Greetings, Coach. Welcome to Planet Venus. Here on Planet Venus, we focus on love and relationships. I hope you can take information back with you to Planet Earth and use it to reflect on your own coaching.
So we're on Planet Venus, and I'm with Adam Land, who's been living on Planet Venus for the past couple of years.
It's been great.
He's going to incite us on Planet Venus's factors, which is love and relationships. So the first question that we're going to ask Adam is, how do you feel a coach can express love within their sports?
Well, I think there's many factors in which a coach can express love within the sport. First of all, he has to have, in my opinion, a love for the game that he's coaching in. So my sport obviously is football. I absolutely love football, and that was the kind of burner that got me going within coaching, because I wanted to get involved within football and carry on within football. Obviously, I still play as well, but it's really like that side of it, having the love for the game. It makes you, being a coach, having a love for the game that you're coaching really helps within your coaching, I feel. Yeah,
definitely. I don't know about you, but does it come from nature or like nurture with the love of the sport? Are you born with it, or do you?
I think you nurture it. I don't think you're just automatically born to, I want to be a coach within a certain sport. I think it depends what sport you're brought up in terms of what you're playing at a younger age and what you enjoy watching. Yeah, definitely. I think if you've brought up with a family that loves the sport, then you're going to be more inclined to watch it and essentially want to be a coach when you're older. Awesome. Right, we'll go on to the next question, just about love of the sport. So second question is, how important is love within the sport for a sports coach? Is it detrimental to their success of being a coach? Yeah, I think it's massive, really, because say if I was coaching cricket, which I don't really have much of a love for, I don't really know the game. I don't really know what works, what's good, what I could be doing better. So in terms of football, me loving football, it's hugely important in the aspect of coaching, because I can, with me watching it, I can learn off of other coaches possibly and like find new ways of getting things to work. And then if I'm loving the game and I'm loving my coaching, then my players are going to be loving it and enjoying it as well. Yeah, I think, would you say that has one of the biggest impacts, that if you show your enthusiasm and you love the sport, you can pass it on to players? Yeah, I definitely think so. I think really when I'm coaching, I like my players to mirror my enthusiasm for the game as much as they possibly can. Yeah, awesome. That's brilliant. Right, we'll head on to the relationships. So the first question on relationships on Planet Venus is, whilst coaching, what type of relationships do you think a sports coach is going to need? He's obviously going to need a good relationship with his players. Yeah. Because if he doesn't get a good relationship with his players, then results won't be showing on the pitch or within the games that they're playing. Definitely needs a relationship with his coaching staff. Yeah. Because then otherwise, without them, if they're not aligned together, then it's not going to work. And then a relationship with parents is massive, I feel. Yeah. Just constant communication within parents and coaches to make sure the players are on the right track. And then finally with like hierarchy within the club. So pretty much everyone involved within that sporting context is aligned within the same aspirations and goals. Yeah. Well, it's good you touched on the player, like the coach and the parent, because there's that model, isn't there, the pyramid, where you've got the three factors and they all interlock with each other and play a part. And I think that's key with what you touched on, that all the people involved in that pyramid play a part in building the relationships. Awesome. So kind of all mixed into one to create one big success, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. And then the last question, just on relationships, then, is what are your opinions on the relationships you've had or currently have within your coaching or sport that you play or coach? I feel as though I've always had fairly good relationships with people that during my coaching times, because I'm not a very conflicting person, so I'll try and negotiate a way that suits both parties if there is a bit of conflict within it. So I'd say, but very rarely do I disagree with what's going on, because I tend to work with people that have the same views as me, and if I'm going into a coaching role, it's a coaching role that I want to go into, so it suits me.
Yeah, and would you say that if there isn't a lot of conflict, or you say if you've got good relationships, that allows success to happen? Yeah,
definitely. Because if there's constant conflict within your coaching scenario, then you just, one, you're probably not going to be enjoying your coaching. No. Two, you're not going to, if you've got conflict with someone and you're disagreeing with someone and you're having to coach in their way, then you're not going to really understand what you're doing, and then you're not enjoying it. Children aren't enjoying it, and then it's kind of, it's not going the way you'd like.
Oh, awesome. Right. Those are all the questions I have, so thank you very much for inciting me on planet Venus.
Thanks for having me.
So I'll take your information back, and I'll record it onto my journey around.
Do you mind if I come back to Earth with you?
You can do, but I'll charge you some petrol money for the ride.
I'll stay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Tom.
On planet Venus, the coaching factors that are looked at are love and relationships. So looking at love, an example of a pianist who would learn for years and years, but in order for successful learning to take place, the pianist would have to go back to the romance phase and have fun with it. Athletes with a love for their sport are not pressured to go into competitions or to reach unrealistic goals. They have the groundwork and will more likely later on in their career excel at a higher level. So this is from Gibbons in 1998. So the romance phase can promote psychological, physical and motor skill development. This is from Bomper in 1995. And the coach has a role to facilitate a session that the athlete can learn to love. So what he's trying to say here is basically that people can learn. A pianist, you've got to repeat the skills of learning the piano over and over again. But it comes to a point where if you just repeat the same skill over and over again, you maybe lose the love of the sport or the skill that you're trying to learn. So you have to always go back to that romance phase and understand why you're doing it, understand your purpose for learning that specific skill. And if you can keep that in your mind and keep that idea of why you're doing it, and you have that love for the sport or skill, then you're more likely going to have a successful career down the line. And then this idea about relationships. So Smith and Smalt in 1989 came up with this athletic triangle. And we've discovered already that it's important to build relationships for a coach. But looking at this triangle, there's this player, parent, coach idea. They all intertwine with one another. And if one doesn't perform or isn't capable of performing or isn't there, then the triangle won't be formed and it won't be as strong as it would be. So the coach always needs to have a good part. They need to build the session, plan the session. They need to have a good relationship with the player and parent. The player needs to be trying hard. They need to be willing. They need to have the love for the sport, but that always comes from the coach and the parent. And then the idea that the parent needs to be supportive, whether that's money-wise, whether that's time-wise, whether that's just being there mentally for them or emotionally. These all intertwine one another, and if one isn't present in the triangle, then the player, the coach, the parent will fall out of love with the sport. Reflecting on the audio footage from Planet Venus then, so there's a couple of questions that are promoted from Planet Venus, and first is how can you develop relationships? And I think for me, developing relationships is just about being out there and being outside my comfort zone. As soon as I'm outside my comfort zone, I get relationships from left, right and centre, from different ages, from different genders. All these different types of relationships come from just being outside my comfort zone, and I'll build that connection, and then even if I don't process that connection along the line, or whether I do process that connection, I know I've either removed a negative connection from my life or gained a positive connection. So nextly, is love nurture or nature? So are you born with the idea of love, or does that come over time? And I think it is a bit of both. It's based on your background, how your parents bring you up. I think you can be brought into a world where you love a certain sport, whether that's netball, basketball, football. But I think also you as well can develop, people change over time, so you can develop a love for something, whether that's a sport, whether you watch something, whether it's a certain moment in time that you find with a team of a sport. So I think it can be a bit of both. I think it's difficult to pinpoint whether you're just born with love of the sport or you grow into the love of the sport. So what are my thoughts on love in sport? Well, as we've already looked at, you've got to have that romance phase, and I think it's very, very crucial for people to love the sport and people to love the things they do, whether that's playing sport, whether that's working, in whatever environment. You've got to love what to do, and I think it's very much essential, especially to coaches when they're coaching, that they've got to love the thing they do. And how important are relationships? Well, we've seen already, they're really important to building your network, to getting out there, to speak to different people. So relationships are very, very important. So reflecting on my coaching, what do I love? Well, I do love coaching football. I do love having that idea that I can make an impact on children or players that are of a younger age. We've seen the little kickers. I make that impact where they're just having fun, 18 month to 7-year-olds, where they might have had a bad week, or they might be upset, or they might be really nervous. So having that impact where I can just make them have fun and they can get moving around and score a goal, or win a certain game, that is what I love doing. And what relationships have I formed over this year? Well, I've definitely formed lots of relationships over the year, especially with little kickers, all the different coaching staff. I was then planning on to go in America to Atlanta, where with Challenger Sports, so I'll build a load of connections there with different coaches, and I'm still planning to go on there next year. So even more relationships will be formed, hopefully, when I go to a different country. Obviously, with Exton Villa as a grassroots team, I've built connections with the players and the parents and the coaches there, and it's all about understanding how you interact with different environments or different people in different relationships. But I've definitely formed lots of relationships over this year, and it's helped me develop as a coach, as I've just understood what they do day in, day out, and how they present themselves as a person. It's helped me form different relationships and how to present myself as a coach.